welcome back to We're Talking About. My name is Kaley Gray, and I'm back. Oh my goodness. It has probably been over a month since I have released an episode. Actually, it has been over a month. It's been over a month since I've released an episode. It's been over a month since I've recorded an episode. And from a recovering perfectionist who is all about making sure I get my content out on time, I have really had to give myself some grace these last few months. And so I'm going to kind of be sharing a little bit about that, how I've been giving myself grace, how maybe you should be giving yourself grace. And so, yeah, I'm just going to dive in and talk about it. But first, if you have not subscribed, please be sure to subscribe and follow me on my social media. I would love to connect with you. I love doing this podcast, and I'll kind of explain more of kind of maybe why I have been MIA. And so anyways, so this year has flown by. I cannot believe we're already like halfway into the year, and it's been good. It's been a really good year, but it's been a very busy year for me. My last podcast, I kind of shared with you how I just released my second children's book, and it happened so much faster than I thought it was going to. And so with that, I've been doing YouTube, podcasting, all the things for the last like 5 years. And I've been very consistent. And that is what, I've talked about this before. People like always comment and tell me like, hey, you've been so consistent with your content, to the point like, where I started doing it every week. I was releasing episodes, which honestly, I did that for 2 years. I do not even know how I did that. All by God's grace. But anyways, so I did that. And then when I released my first children's book, I started doing it every other week. And that seemed to be a really good schedule for me. And then now, you know what? Probably for the next few months, I would say I will be probably releasing at least one episode a month, maybe more. But my schedule has just been crazy. It has been so full. It's been so busy. And so I want to be consistent. I want to be here for you guys. And with that, without having to like take a sabbatical or like, I need 3 months to reset, I really felt, I'm like, you know what? I can do at least one a month. And I felt like that was consistent. So I will be releasing at least one episode a month for you guys. And, it's hard, like, especially when you're wanting to just be consistent and do this, because I do. I absolutely love this. Honestly, if I could get paid full time to do just this is what I would do. I love being able to encourage people. I love being able to minister to people, connect with people. And so this is probably, out of like all of the things I'm doing, this is probably one of the most favorite things that I'm doing. But it's also the thing that's not bringing in revenue. And so it's more, I wouldn't say it's like a hobby, but it's like just something that I'm building and growing. And so I kind of had to do like an evaluation period of like everything that I was doing in my life these last few months, and decide, okay, which one needs to be the top priority. And so I kind of just had to like realign some different things in my life of which things should be getting my top attention, and then which things I needed to maybe like scale back a little bit on, and maybe like not producing as much effort in. And I wouldn't say effort, but just I wasn't able to put as much time into that because I needed to focus on other things. And, my children's book, the release and all of that kind of like took the main priority of like what I was doing. And there's so many unknown variables with it that I just literally sometimes didn't know what was coming, what I needed to do. Like each week was a different week. And I wasn't burnt out, but I was starting to get there, because I have my corporate job that I was working, and then I would babysit, and then I do some social retail stuff, and then just like all the podcast stuff, and then the book stuff. I was starting to just become exhausted, like absolutely exhausted. And I knew that if I didn't start to make some changes, like I was going to get burnt out because I was literally going from like 7:30 in the morning to like 10:30 at night with like maybe like a half an hour like dinner break, lunch break. And so I knew like my body and just like mental state could not um keep going at that level of what I was performing at. And I just kind of had like a come to Jesus moment. And I was just like, you know what? I need to make some changes. I need to realign, refocus, pause, and be like, okay, in this season right now, where does my main focus need to be? And I don't think that's bad to do. I think it's really good to do those check ins because, maybe the grace I had for one season of like doing something just wasn't the same in the current season I was in because just other things were thrown at me, other variables and things like that. And so I really took time to pause and just realign and figure out, okay, what is going to be the best thing for me to focus on right now in this season? And it was hard because, like I said, I love doing podcasting. I love doing all of that. But I was like, I don't want to produce content to just produce content. And I didn't want to just have some episode out there that I knew that I didn't pour 100% into because I didn't want that just because I'm like, oh, Kaley's consistent, like she needs to put an episode out. And so that's why it took me almost like 6 weeks to do an episode because I just literally didn't have the bandwidth to be able to produce an episode. And something that I've learned is grace. And I've really spent 2024 of learning to give myself grace because I think so many times we give other people grace, but we don't always give ourselves grace. Well, I am back and giving myself grace again because rookie mistake, I forgot to check to see if the camera battery was charged and it just died 7 minutes into this episode. So, anyways, we are back. And so with grace and just kind of realigning everything, I can be I don't know if maybe you struggle with this too sometimes, but sometimes I can be a little bit of perfectionist. I want to do everything with a high form of excellence, which in a sense isn't bad, but when you have a high form of excellence and you have so many things to do, just the things of life just become overwhelming, like to the point I was like, I never would leave sinks. I would never leave dishes in the sink overnight. I always like loaded the dishwasher, washed dishes. And, there was a point where it was like maybe like 5 days that I just had like dishes in the sink piling up. I also started noticing just like little things I was forgetting to do or messing up on or losing things. And not to say that I normally don't do that, but I normally didn't do that. And so there was just little things like that happening. I was just exhausted. I wasn't having time to really visit with friends, to just make time for myself. I wasn't really resting. And so that's kind of like what made me like, okay, I need to just reevaluate life and things. And it wasn't like the things that I was doing, like I didn't hate them. Like I wanted to do them. Like that's everything I've been wanting to do. And it just was kind of all piling up at once. And so that's why I kind of was like, okay, I just need to pause for a little bit just to see, okay, what is the priority? And so with that too, like, I talk to mentors, talk to close friends, talk to my parents, like what I should do, like what they thought, like, was I just making this up? Was I just being hard on myself? And they all agreed that I needed to kind of like realign some things. And so that's why I did. I kind of like set back a little bit from like doing certain things and, maybe creating content as much as like I normally did because I just didn't have the energy to do it. And I just didn't want to perform. I just didn't want to like get it out there. And I wanted to do it with some form of excellence. And so with that, with kind of like making some changes like in your life. So I think you have to reevaluate and you have to set some boundaries. I had to set some boundaries where I'm like, okay, you know what? It's 9 p.m. at night. Like, you're done. Like, we're not going to be editing something. Like, you just need to like shut your brain off from like doing all of this other stuff and you just need to rest. Something I've also implemented was, taking one day a week of just resting and not working, because when you're trying to like kind of like own your own business and do things, like there's something to do all the time. There's something that you could constantly be doing. And I think too, like when you're in a season of like not married, not kids, no kids, you can kind of fill your space with things. And so, I felt like I had all this extra time and things that I could do. And so I was just jam packing it as much as I could. But I really learned I need to give myself some rest as well as grace. And so I've started implementing this year one day of rest, and just, not creating content, not really doing a lot on social media. And that has really helped me too. And I kind of look forward to it. The day kind of changes each week. Sometimes it's usually Friday or Saturday. Maybe it could be a Sunday or it could be a Monday. Like, it just kind of just whatever I feel that week I need, because there are certain days that I wake up and I'm just like super creative and I just want to like go and produce content. And so if that's the case and that's my like supposed to be day of rest, I'm like, no, I need to produce this content. I want to do it. Cause sometimes when the creativity hits, you just want to like get there and do it. And so I made sure that if I didn't rest that day, I would take a different day to rest after it. And so that's really helped. I've also been doing like wellness walks. So the job I work at, they allow us to do 15 minutes of wellness walks of like just getting outside. And so even on days when I'm not in the office, I really try to implement that. I know 15 minutes doesn't seem like much, but it's really good just to like get away from something, get outside, just kind of like seeing the sun, because on days when I work at home, I mean, I could be inside all day. Like, there were days I was like not even getting out of my pajamas. I was like waking up early to start working all day, not leaving the house, and just like not even like getting dressed for the day. I was just like staying in my pajamas and just like working. And then I'm like, it's time to go to bed, And so really like trying to make sure that I do sometimes will have those like lazy days where, I might be in the PJs a little bit later than normal, but just like making time. Okay, like let's get dressed. Let's go outside. Let's see the sunlight. Let's do something. And I think that's helped too. Like, I've also been focusing on stretching more. So trying to like do things for my health. I've been taking greens and reds. And so if you want to know what I've been taking, I can share it with you. I post on my social media about it. But so those like little things I've like kind of like added in and kind of taken more of a focus on like those things has also helped me with other areas of life, because I think too, like, I would be staying up late trying to work and like do things and not get sleep. And I've really learned that I don't do well when I don't get the sleep that I need. And so I've decided, I'm like, you know what? If it doesn't get done, it doesn't get done. I still need to go to bed. And so there's been times where I will do that, and the issue or the problem or the thing that I need to do, it's there the next day. And so I just do that, but I am able to be a better me when I know that I get the sleep. And I think so many times when we do have an overwhelming list of things we need to do, you kind of put off the sleep and like the exercise and like the health and the food and like all of that stuff. And I think that needs to be a bigger priority. And so those are things that I have definitely implemented more for my life this year, is focusing on more of those aspects. And so, it's funny because I don't want you to think like, oh my gosh, Kaley, like she's not doing well. She like can't keep up with all of this. That's not the case. I really truly believe like God has given me the grace for all of this. And I'm learning to give myself grace because I can be hard on myself and just like wanting to do more. But I'm finally finding like a balance of like how to do it and maybe like what this season looks like now isn't the same as what it maybe looked like earlier in the year or even last year, but like learning to give myself grace because I wake up each morning and I enjoy what I do and I have so much fun doing it. And I think I'm starting to set those boundaries. I'm starting to um, just create a healthier me, a better me to be able to have the longevity of what I want to do. And whether, you're not, producing content or doing different things, you could be doing something completely different and having burnout and not giving yourself grace. And that is something that I truly believe you need to do. And also, like, praying and like asking God for wisdom of like what you're supposed to do. Like I said, like I talked to different people, but I also prayed with different people. I was praying alone, just really like trying to figure out like what I was doing. And these weren't decisions I just like made quickly. This was like, stuff that I had been praying for months of like what I was doing and what I was like feeling and not being led by emotions because I also just because I was working hard and, kind of burning the midnight oil, I knew that these first few months, it wasn't going to be like what my schedule was like for the rest of the year because I was literally doing everything to prep and get things done for a book launch. And so, the book launch isn't my schedule for the full 12 months, but there's little things that I implemented and changed into my daily routine, into my weekly routine that I have allowed me to give myself grace and also just being able to feel like I do have longevity. And so I think, when you're feeling this way, it's so easy to just make a rash decision. And I definitely didn't do that. I definitely prayed about it. And so even like with this podcast, I was like praying, I'm like, God, like I, haven't done a podcast. I probably should do a podcast. And, I just was like, no, I don't know. I don't want to talk about this. Certain guests, got pushed back to later this year, which was fine. But, when you're like banking on like, oh, this was supposed to happen and we were going to be able to talk about this and you have to like wait and do it later. You have to be flexible. You have to be okay with the change, but then you also have to be able to come up with content for what you're doing. And, I just didn't have that. And I just was like, you know what? It's okay. I am giving myself grace. And it's not that I've become lazy or complacent to things, but it's just I have learned, okay, this is what I need to do to have the longevity of this channel. And yeah, I feel good. And that's why I kind of just wanted to get on here because I feel like I haven't been here forever. And I missed you guys. I missed getting to connect and do things. And I am excited. I'm excited about future guests that we have and future topics. And it's just really allowed me to do it. And so I hope that you guys maybe you did miss me. Maybe you did miss me not putting content out. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you were like, I didn't even know you were gone, Kaley. Like, didn't even know you weren't producing anything. So if that's the case, be sure to subscribe so that you know when I'm posting episodes. But I am going to be getting consistent. I am going to be posting monthly episodes and then hopefully here in a few months we'll go back to bi-weekly. But yeah, I just, I also want to enjoy life. And I don't want to just be working all of the time. And so I'm, starting to set certain boundaries with that. Because, there can be a lot of pressures in life and you have to enjoy them. I was on vacation recently and I was like, oh, I should be doing this or, oh, I should, be doing this. And I was like, you know what? No, it's okay. You don't have to do that. you can just enjoy this moment and live presently. And that's what I did. And so, I think learning to just take that time to do that and just to give yourself grace. You're going to be a better you. And like I said, we are so easy to give other people grace, but just learn to give yourself grace. And so maybe this episode was perfect for you. Maybe you were like, man, I really need some grace too, Kaley, or maybe I need to really reevaluate like what is going on in my life. So just take that time to do that. Pray about it. Seek wise counsel, try to figure out, okay, in my life, these are the things I need to do. Which one is going to take the priority right now in this season? And also like make living life a priority in your life. I love chasing the dream. I love doing it, but I also need to learn to rest and find that balance of like friendships and just doing all of this stuff, the relationships of life. And so, yeah, it's been good. And so I feel super healthy. I feel so much better and I feel rejuvenated. I feel excited. These are all the characteristics that I am feeling about. We're talking about adventures on the farm, just about social media, just all of the things in my Dad and Me podcast. And so I love it. I love getting to do what I'm doing right now. And I'm so thankful for the love and support from you guys. And so I am excited for more episodes to come, more things to come, and just learning to find grace and balance in all the seasons of life. So I hope that you guys enjoyed today's episode. I can't wait to be back for another episode. But until then, hope you guys have an amazing day. And, I will see you next time. Bye.